Oh, wow. I know it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but if I was in a room with 182 people, that would be a lot of people. Thank you for giving that video some love. Anyways, this video is about all the cats I've had in my entire existence. I linked to charity in my last video because it was for a college project. This video is not for a project, but I still want to keep up the trend of encouraging people to donate to charity. If I'm going to have a platform, I want to encourage others to do something good with it. So consider donating to your local cat charity, even if it's just a tin of cat food. Everything helps. My family has had a lot of cats in my lifetime. We currently only have 3, but we've had 6 at one point. Their names were Bailey, Squeak, Percy, Jack, Thomas, and Gordon. Now we only have Squeak, Jack, and Gordon. Want to know a fun fact? Squeak is 14 years old. None of us expected her to live as long as she has, especially since she was the runt of her litter. Let's start these stories with her. Let's start with her name. I was very young when we got her, and Mum told me that I liked a show with a cat called Squeak at the time. She was absolutely tiny, to the point the vets didn't think she'd make it. She had to be fed special and very expensive cat food, but it was worth it in the end. We got a loyal, loving companion out of it. One story of her cheating death involves another cat and a bit of context. Squeak loves the road outside our house, especially in the summer. We do try to get her out of the road for obvious reasons, but she is very stubborn. People have had to pick her up and move her out of the road so they can drive down it. The cat that lives across from us is usually very friendly, even following me into the house one day. I'll get back to that later in the video. That cat must have been offended by Squeak because one day he charged at her, causing her to dart under a moving car. She was centimetres away from being run over. My mum witnessed it. All I heard was her shouting for Squeak. She was completely fine. She walked it off. She's a little trooper. I love her so much. Another story of her being a little rascal is when she stole the neighbour's chicken off their kitchen counter. I would like to remind you that Squeak is tiny. To top it all off, she also outran the neighbour's dog with the chicken in her mouth. How does she do that? I don't know. Why was she in the neighbour's house? Cats will be cats, I guess. One other story is the time where Squeak was hiding under the hood of our neighbour's car. Nobody knew that she was there, and she really scared the neighbour when she lifted the hood and a tiny little cat jumped out. I'm glad the neighbour had to lift the car hood because Squeak would have died otherwise. Now let's move on to Jack. I should probably start with how we got him, but to do that I have to bring in yet another cat. A tiny little grey kitten that my mum had reserved. I thought that little kitten was adorable, but its owner gave them to someone else! It was a few weeks later when my mum called me into her room and showed me 2 cats. One was a ginger tabby with a really long face, the other was a small fluffy tuxedo kitten. Both were free cats because they came from a not-so-great home. I'm pretty sure the person selling them had 27 cats. Way too many. I felt an instant connection to him when we went to get him. I named him Jack because I was obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean at the time. I was going to name him Oreo, but I'm glad I didn't. That seems like a very basic tuxedo name. No offence to all the Oreos out there. Jack has grown up to be a pretty big cat, and a heavy cat as well. I'm his favourite person, but he likes most people. One night, he jumped through my window with blood on his paw. He had gotten into a fight with another cat. We, obviously, had to go to the vets. The problem? We didn't own a cat carrier. I had to hold him and he was not happy about it. He was also not happy about the fact that the vet had to take his temperature. If you know, you know. Mum was the one holding him down and she got some very deep scratches. Now let's move on to Gordon, who is actually a girl. We don't really care for gender in this household. She's not exactly the smartest cat. Remember when I mentioned the cat following me into my house? That's relevant now because Gordon saw him and she's very territorial. That was the most upset I've ever seen her. I don't have that many stories about Gordon. She's just a regular cat that's got a couple screws loose. Let's move on to Bailey, who is sadly no longer with us. I don't really remember him that well, so this story comes from my mum's memory. She had left out some really nice sausages for her dinner. You can probably already tell what happened. Bailey stole the sausages and ran outside with them. A classic cat move. Another Bailey story takes place in the summer. We had set up an inflatable pool to play in. After a couple of hours of it being up, Bailey decided that he was a curious little kitty and jumped in. Let me tell you this, dear viewer, he was not the kind of cat that likes water. On his way out, he punctured the pool and it was rendered unusable. Another story I wanted to tell involves Percy. Percy decided to live elsewhere. One night, she jumped through my window with a bat in her mouth. I managed to take the bat from her and decided to show Mum because I didn't know what to do. She told me to just put it outside again, so I went to go do that. Except when I walked through a dark room, I looked down and saw the bat was still alive and had spread its wings. This freaked me out and I dropped the bat. I went back to Mum and she dealt with it. We love my mum in this household. That's all I have for you today. Having any pet can lead to some crazy stories. Let me know your pet stories in the comments. This is not limited to just cats. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and consider donating to your local cat charity. I'll hopefully be seeing you in the next video where I'll be talking about my collections. I'll see you there.